This is a question I've sort of struggled with, and I've actually done a couple of postings of this because I wasn't really satisfied with the answer. Usually I'm just trying to speak as I would to a client sitting in front of me across the desk. And I think that the reason I'm finding this a difficult question is because it really is horses for courses. It's not just a case of that there are some claims that really I would advise you to get a lawyer or at least a claims company to help you, to hold your hand. And indeed, I wouldn't even advise you to go through FOS because you might come out 18 months later without having moved the case forward 1 inch. So, you know, there are certain types of cases which I don't think should go to, which I don't think you should do yourself for various reasons, around complexity or claim or the intransigence of a particular lender. Now, it's difficult for me to give you an authoritative list, and I'd rather not do. I'd rather just invite you to surf through the site and look at some of the video bulletins and educate yourself about the area to get a better idea. But and or just simply to use your noodle. You know, crikey, this is looking like quite complicated. I think I'm going to need a lawyer. If it's a Lloyd's unsecured loan for 10 grand with 4 grand PPI on top, then it's a case I had not so long ago, then I would recommend that you do it yourself. Complain to the banks, and if it's relatively recent too, complain post 2005. Complain to the banks. They should, if they reject your complaint, appeal that complaint decision by the banks. You've got 56 days to do so. Then go to the Financial Ombudsman Service. They will probably, at that point, the banks may then fold even before it's been adjudicated, because part of their process is to test your nerve. Then hopefully the Financial Ombudsman Service will adjudicate in your favour. They overturn the majority of complaints that are appealed by consumers because they're not satisfied with the bank's own complaints handling processes, which is why we've got this application for judicial review. So, you know, that's the case you might want to take it to do it yourself. I encourage you to do it yourself, and I also encourage you to bring a small claim if the value is under £5,000 through the courts if you don't get satisfaction from the bank or from FOS. Do it yourself. Why go to a lawyer? Learn about your civil litigation system. Under 5 grand, it's the idea is that there should be no lawyers in a small claims court. See the separate video posting on that very issue. Now, here's the thing. You see, just really to make the point that you really do need to use your noodle and tailor the look at your own particular case. That case that I just told you about, 10 grand, 4 grand PPI, also happened to be sold to the loan, was sold to the consumer with a 1% APR. So there's no question that something slightly fishy was going on, and the PPI was the way that the loan was being financed. The PPI chap was a taxi driver. The PPI had nothing to do with really the banks needing to protect or wanting, or the consumer even knowing much about payment protection insurance. He kind of just went along with it. And it was intimated to him that really it was sort of like, here's the deal, you take the PPI with the loan, and the client feels, well, I've got to take them both. Now, when there's only 1% APR, that's sort of clearly it's a slightly complex, subtle case. It's one that I brought because he wanted his entire loan written off, and I felt there was a good argument for that. In the end, we settled just on the PPI for reasons I needn't bother you with. But you can see how even an ordinary claim could become complex. A credit card claim might look simple on the face of it, but if the balance has been extremely high on the card for a long period in the past, there might be a big argument to be had over the amount of interest on top of the PPI premiums that the client should be entitled to. So there's these full compensation type arguments to be had. And as I say, some lenders are more intransigent than others. For a definition of the word intransigent, find a dictionary. I know what it means, but I can't quite describe it. I'm just trying, but I can't think of the correct definition. They won't move from there. They won't budge. So I haven't got an easy answer to you for that question. How do I go it alone? Other than to say that it's always good to do things in this area for yourself, but to be prepared to take stock down the line, to say, well, actually, it'd probably be better to put myself in the hands of a professional or somebody who's simply got better experience of dealing with these sorts of claims than myself.